happy doing the music till the cows come home, but when it comes down to promotion, I just can't do it. The realization came that I needed to somehow make the promo the art as well. And then I could, from that point, do the promo without it feeling icky.
So I just had this conversation with Geoff, who I've been working with as a music client for the last couple of years in various different programs. And in this conversation, he shared how he has managed to, in the latest program I've done with him, a workshop called Strategic Evolution, he shared with me how the work we did there, and also the work he did with AI, using some of the processes and methods that I've been developing to use AI, how it allowed him to overcome something that would have spelled, in terms of the external results, in terms of his success for his music business, it would have meant he would never have that success. He couldn't stand promoting himself, what he saw as promoting himself. And obviously, unless you get someone else to do that, that's essentially it. The music is just going to stay within the four walls of your studio. And this is going to be true no matter what you do, whether you make music or you make software or you write or you do coaching. You have to be able to put yourself into the world. I mean, in a very real sense, almost everybody now has to be some form of creator, big C, who creates things and puts them out onto the internet, onto social media, or whatever it might be, in order to attract people and get them interested in what you're doing. So something like this, finding promotion and marketing icky or difficult, is going to have an enormous impact on your ability to move forward in today's world. Like it or not, that's kind of the way that it is. So what Geoff discovered in the latest workshop was something about himself which allowed him to change what he thought he was doing with promotion. So if you're resisting something, whether it be promotion or something else in what you're doing, in building your business or making your art, or no matter what it is you're doing, it's likely to be because you are attempting to do something that is conflicting with a part of who you are. And it's not as simple as saying, I don't like promoting, because promoting can mean lots of different things. Or I don't like marketing. Marketing can be done in many, many different ways. And really the key to doing those things that you are resisting is first finding out about yourself, and then realizing how you can do that thing that you resist in a way that works for yourself. So let's have a listen to what Geoff's got to say. You started off by learning the Music Machine system, making music. What was the change that you experienced at that point?
Major change. I mean, I think to be fair, it took a little while to happen. As you said, we've been working together for quite a while now. It's probably maybe like 2 years or something like that since we started. But the first course I did was, it was a Music Machine one, and it maybe took me a little while to kind of embed it into my workflow, I guess is the way of putting it. But basically, I was like a lot of people, I guess. I'd been making music my whole life. I'd had one or two successes here or there and various things, but I agonized over my music. I wanted some sort of perfection. I felt I had this music in me and I wanted to get it out. And I was always doing stuff. I was always, I've always made music and I've always been doing it, but I wasn't, where was my music career? Where was my, what had I got to show for it? I'd released next to nothing, and I had real problems finishing anything that I started. yeah, that's where the music machine came in,
Right.
basically.
And then, so you did that. And I mean, what was the effect of it when, I mean, how long did it take to embed? And because you did make an album with Mike after that, right? So
Yeah,
was it making an album with Mike that kind of got you over the line with
yeah,
it? Yeah. Right.
yeah. It
Okay.
was. It was making an album with Mike, and I reckon now that's got a lot to do with the deadline thing.
Yes,
Um, yeah, which I think you've said before that was kind of the missing element
it
in the
was.
sense you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so having this deadline that we were heading towards, it allowed me to let go more and finish. I mean, I didn't finish the album directly on the deadline, but I did finish the album probably about a month after.
Right.
Uh, to the point where I shared it with some people. And yeah, and I was happy with it. And I love the process. I was more happy with the process than I was with the finished result. But that's where the joy is in a lot of this stuff anyway, and I might come on to that later because that kind of relates to some of the stuff that's been happening more recently.
Yeah.
But anyway, uh, yeah, so I basically learned through the course to finish music and to let go a bit and to not be so perfectionist and to finish stuff. Yeah, like I said, the deadline thing helped massively. And when I think back to the only other times I've ever released and finished stuff, that deadline thing has been there for various other
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things. What's one of the things about making an album with Mike that kind of people often shy away from is they're like, oh, no, I don't like deadlines, and I don't think I'm going to be able to hit them. But it's almost like, well, if you're not going to finish music with deadlines, then you're probably never going to finish music, full stop. Right? It's like it's almost like you're putting yourself into an impossible situation because you kind of gotta put yourself under the pump, if you like. I mean, not everybody's like this, to be fair. Some people can do it anyway, in which case you're all right. It's like you can still finish albums, but certainly someone like me, and it sounds like someone like you, and probably the majority of people I've helped, deadlines really kind of it's an external force, particularly when you're working with other people, which allow you to kind of let go. And
absolutely, yeah. And it was that other side of it as well, which was so massively important, that realizing that this is not the be all and end all. This album that I've made with this Making Album with Mike team is not, this is Geoff, and this defines him and his music forevermore. And this is the best thing he's ever going to make. Like, none of those things are true. It was realizing that you were just on this constant journey, like, basically, and which the course taught, which you taught through that, and hammered home time and time again that this is just part of the journey, and the only way that you can move forward is to finish stuff. But without finishing it, you can't evaluate it, you can't learn from it, you can't move forward in any way. And that exactly describes where I was until I did.
Right. Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? You kind of think that you're making progress when you're not finishing stuff. But I mean, you're making a weird kind of progress, I guess.
Yeah. I got better technically, over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it quicker, and it's almost like your skills are improving, but you're not, there's some sense in which you're just not improving. You're just like stuck in time or something. I really recognize that. It's almost like there's nothing happening in a way. There is, but you're just kind of spinning your wheels in some certain sense. I mean, we use the music machine inside Making Album with Mike to finish music, and I think that deadline thing really, as you say, is like the final piece of it, if you like. It kicks you into gear. I mean, what have you finished?
I've probably got 12 finished tracks now that I'm basically like willing to release, and I've released 8 of those on Bandcamp. But basically, I'm sure we're going to move on to this in a second, but the problem that I've been having with that is that I get stuck with promotion. It's like, I'm happy doing the music, till the cows come home. But when it comes down to promotion, I just can't do it. So I've got 8 tracks sat in Bandcamp, like no followers, because I haven't, not that I expected to get any, because I haven't even attempted to get any.
You've not done anything,
I haven't done it. I've not done anything with it. Yeah. So that's kind of got me to where I was just before I started the most recent course with you.
Right. So now we're on to the strategic evolution workshop, and so that's just recently finished, almost this time last week, a couple of days away. And so you came into this workshop feeling that, well, you tell me. So what was the reason that, so I mean, I think you've kind of said it, but just what was the reason that you came into the strategic evolution workshop?
Yeah, because it's like you'd help me solve the first part of the puzzle. Like, I know I can finish music. I finished music, but now, I had the problem of, how do I get it to people? As I said earlier, I mean, I've always made music, and it's something that I will always do, whatever happens. And, it's always going to be something I do, but I've always wanted, to release it and to have it out there, and, to build a small fan base or whatever would be fantastic. And I've always wanted to do that. But I just, every time, I mean, in the past, I don't know, probably a year now, I mean, I literally have a weekly timetable, and I schedule time for promotion, like almost daily in my timetable, and I never do it. And every time I sit down to do it, I find something else to do. I end up going on, making some more music, or working on some music, or doing something that I enjoy, and I just can't do the promotion. I just find it abhorrent. It's just horrendous.
Okay, that's really interesting. So what when you say you schedule time to do the promotion before the workshop, because obviously this has changed a lot now.
Yeah.
So before the workshop, what were you thinking that you had to do, or that you were supposed to be doing, that you were avoiding?
Well, I basically, so, obviously, like everyone, I see what goes on social media, and I see people saying, hey, latest track dropped, check it out. And various things to that effect, or something exciting coming soon, and then when it comes, it's, hey, here's my latest track. I don't know, worse, people, for me, I mean, this is just for me, I'm not putting anyone else.
Yeah, you're not judging anyone. You're just saying how you feel about doing it yourself.
Just for me, the way that people do promotion, it seems like work. It seems like a, I don't, it just doesn't seem artistic, or it's not what I'm interested in about music, and it's sort of depressing somehow. There's something depressing about it, for me. But my kind of feeling was, but it's a necessary evil. Everyone's got to do it, and I understand people doing it, because what else do you do? How else do you get your music out there?
Yeah.
So this is the world we're in, and it's tricky coming from, I think Mike and I are the same age, and we come from a time when, like, basically that world didn't exist, and you might read something in, I don't know, the NME or Melody Maker or something, one of the music papers, saying this is a cool album, or you might just go into a record shop and really like the cover of something. But that was basically all you ever knew.
Or go to a rave and run up to the DJ. What's this? What's this, mate?
There's no shit down. None of that. But there wasn't all of this, promotion around. I mean, obviously the big record companies promoted their bands, but it was all about radio play. Was what they were trying to get for them. When you'd hear stuff, obviously, radios and DJs, like you say, but there was more of a mystery, and I really like that mystery. I like that. Then you don't know who these people are. You didn't know what they look like half the time. You didn't, it was just, and you were finding little nuggets and crate digging and, all of that, and I come from that world. And so part of me feels like this old dinosaur, like, I can't work in this world.
A couple of boomers not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. This world of self-promotion is like so alien to me.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder if it's a British thing as well. You know,
Well,
it's a bit
there
very
is definitely that going on. Yeah, it's like it's just like there's partially the kind of irony, the way you're just like, you serious? It's like, you know what I mean? It's that kind of sarcastic sort of thing, but it's also the, you know, self-deprecating, stiff upper lip sort of thing. It's very counter to the sort of
exactly.
typical stereotypical British male.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So all I don't know, all those feelings going on, but I did try previous to the strategic evolution workshop. You know, I did try and work out strategies to overcome this. And I looked at the ways that different people were doing it, and the one that I saw some people doing, which I thought, yeah, I like that as a way of doing it, was the kind of document as you go, fly on the wall type thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm making this track. Oh, I'm struggling with this part, blah blah blah. Yeah, and today, you know, I'm thinking about the artwork, but I'm not sure. You know, you're basically presenting the whole journey, you know, warts and all, as it's going on. You know, and releasing those, and then releasing the track. So you've got a kind of, you know, and I felt, because it seems more honest, although you know, obviously it's still promotion, and you know there's an intention, you know, behind it to promote, but it seemed a bit more honest. So I did try that, and I did try recording videos of myself doing that, but I stopped after 3. I just even that I just could I just still found it so horrible, and just like, you know, I don't know. I just felt like who cares? Like who's interested in me doing this? Like, you know, like who cares?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Exactly. Who am I to do this? No, and to be fair, that, I mean, all of the things that you're saying, people are interested in that kind of thing. But what I've realized is that if doing that isn't you, and I think that we'll get onto it, but in a very real sense, what you just said, what I now know about you through the workshop, what we found out about something very integral to who you are, it's obvious why you wouldn't be able to do that. Because what's interesting is, on a conceptual level, like, to you, obviously, that you have a value in kind of being real and authentic and honest. You're sort of honest. So that the sort of, you know, I've got this thing coming, and you know, check it out. You know, it's just got this, like, it's just so, it makes you kind of cringe inside. Not other people, but for you, right? It makes you cringe inside, because it's just like, I'm not actually. It's like I'm kind of, but sort of building myself up into something that I'm not, which just doesn't work for you at all. And then, but so what you liked about, and you even tried it, about the sharing what was going on, was that it was honest. But what you discovered about yourself in the strategic evolution workshop, you can't do that. It's like, it's something that you cannot do. So, and I understand why that is now, because it's about this thing that I've named a unique genius, which everybody has. So I'm not a genius. You're not a genius. If you don't mind me saying that, Geoff. Einstein wasn't a genius. You know, Picasso wasn't a genius, but we all have a genius, which is what I call a unique constellation of skills, traits, ways of seeing the world. And it's obvious when you think about it, why this has to be true. It's because your brain changes according to how you use it. And therefore, because everybody who has ever lived has had different experiences coming into their brain and interacting with those experiences differently, everybody's brain is different. It might not be massively different, but it's definitely different. Yeah, it has to be the case. There's literally no, it's a fact. And actually spending the time, and some people react to the word genius, which is why I use it, because it's like I'm taking it away from what it has meant in the past. And if you can get clearer, and obviously it's an ongoing thing, you can never get 100% clear, but if you can get clearer on what your genius is, or what, you know, we can get clear on what our genius is, and then frame or change what we're doing to actually work with that, then you're going to be able to do it. 2, it's going to be much easier for you to do it. you're going to do it much more effectively. And crucially, it's going to stand out. What you're doing is going to stand out because it's almost like only you could do that. So, yeah. So what did you kind of find out through the workshop that were like the light bulbs? I mean, just sort of, we've got a very clear picture of how you were. I mean, basically, before the workshop, it sounds like that you probably would never have been able to do this unless you'd have actually found someone to do it for you, which I think is what the artists who you appreciate do. It's like that.
Yeah. I think they do. Well, So there's very early on in the workshop, there's a really interesting exercise that was really enlightening. And it's one of those exercises where you kind of think a bit like, why are we doing this? But, let's run with it and see what happens. And it was basically describe your ideal, you'll get the phrase right, but decide your ideal sort of kind of future ideal average day. Was that close to?
Yeah, so it's your ideal average day. It used to be called your perfect average day, but I don't like the word perfect. So ideal average day.
Yeah. So, and we were thinking forward as if we had kind of got where we wanted to with, our kind of business idea within the workshop, which in my case is getting my music out there. That is basically what I want my business. So, so we had to imagine this day. And I got really into this. I kind of wrote pages and pages and pages like of this day. And what kind of came out of it was lots of sort of insights into kind of like who I am as a person that I just didn't expect. It wasn't just about me making music and me, sat in the studio and making music. It was lots of kind of interactions with nature and and just conversations with my wife and just looking at the way the cat moved on the stairs and noticing light pans on the wall in the morning and stuff. And there was all of this stuff in there that just sort of came out. It was sort of as if from now I got really into it. I was really enjoying this whole process. But one of the things that did happen, relating back to the original question, one of the things that did happen that I wrote in that ideal average day was I had a manager, agent, promo person, whoever, someone who did my promo. So I literally delegated it, because in this fantasy day in the future, I had made it to the point that I could afford to pay someone to do it, if you see what I mean, with my music. So, so that was interesting that I was getting someone else to do the promo at this point, in the workshop.
I mean, I think what the possibly frustrating, no, definitely frustrating thing now though, is that unless you're already rich, the only way to get to that point, to get someone interested enough to pay for it, is that you have to do it yourself to get there. Like if you want to get, I mean, you can get signed to a label, but they're not going to put much into you unless you've already got an audience. If you've got an audience, then it's a lot easier to get signed to a label, and people will put the resources behind you. But you actually have to get to that point. So this is the problem. Exactly. Getting from 0 to 1 as an artist is almost the hardest thing to get people to pay attention in the first place. It's just
there's no way to be able to to get to that point without having done a hell of a lot of this work yourself. There's just no way of getting there. Like I totally understand that. And it was I mean, it was partly related to a kind of moonshot idea. So it was as best as I could possibly ever imagine in my music ever going, but it wasn't how I envisage my music career.
No, because the question the question was definitely what I call a moonshot question, which is like, if everything, if you couldn't fail, and as long as it didn't defy the laws of the universe, then what would be, what do you want? Do you know what I mean? It's not, it's almost like want in the absence of will do it or is likely to. It's like, what is the most improbable outcome that if everything fell your way could happen? Now, what was interesting is that was the exercise that you picked out. But before that, we did one where we were kind of more focusing. It was more focused. The first one where we're more focused on things about your, what I'm calling your unique genius, the pattern of,
yeah.
And I think that's possibly, might be overfitting here, but possibly one of the reasons that you kind of had that sort of outpouring of an ideal average day was because you had learned something about yourself previous to that with the unique genius stuff. Because I've given different versions of the ideal average day, and it is slightly different in this workshop than past versions. It's somewhat different, but I've given versions of the ideal average day to quite a few people, and in this workshop, it was like people found it easier than they have in the past. And my theory is that the understanding this or something about your unique genius allows, because quite often when I've given people what used to be called the perfect average day, it was like, well, I don't know it's almost like feels like pulling things from my rear end. Do you know what I mean? I'm just, I don't know. And whereas it didn't have that sense so much in this workshop. And I think it's because when you kind of understand something about yourself, you do start to realize what it is you actually want and what, because the way I look at it is that everything that we do, like make music or do promotion or, I don't know, cook dinner or like speak to your kids or speak to your wife or look at cats or whatever it might be, they're not us. Those are vehicles for our unique genius to express itself, right?
Yeah.
So what was it in this runs through the whole workshop, this unique genius thing, but so let's just talk about that in general. So what was the kind of insights that you got about yourself that kind of shifted things for you? Because I can't wait to talk about sort of where you're at with this so-called promotion now, but yeah, let's talk about that.
So I mean, it was extremely enlightening, and often very surprising. The sort of person who I've kind of realized I am, I didn't know I was.
Same here. Yeah.
Some of the things that I don't want to say believe, but some of the things I've discovered about myself, I just would have thought, nah, before. No, surely not. Or certainly a younger me would have been, no way. But basically, it's a lot of the areas that my kind of unique genius kind of gravitates towards and seems to be interested in and seems to be kind of empowered within or at its greatest potential, are kind of ideas of what kind of lies beneath, just beneath a kind of, a reality, I guess. So this is partly sort of visible. It's often visible to me outside, in kind of nature and in sort of natural phenomenon. It could be anything. I could be just sat. In fact, this was in my ideal average day, and it's something that happened just the week before. I'm watching some bumblebees basically going about their business in the garden, and I just sort of feel like I'm just getting a kind of insight of something beneath the surface that is just other to us. It's not human. And this is where this is all really weird for me, because I'm not what I would class a spiritual person. I've never have been, but a lot of what my unique genius seems to express is quite spiritual, for want of a better word. And
are you saying, Geoff, by any chance, that you have this surface layer of sort of practicality and what is just beneath the surface? Is that what you're saying? You actually are an expression of what you see, is what you're saying. Yeah,
it's 100%, and it's so weird. This will come out time and time again, but once you start finding it, you find it everywhere, and it's just so you can see it in everything you do. yeah, the AI, because we work with an AI, which I'm sure Mike will talk about in a second as well. But we work with AI in a really new and interesting way to help discover your, these kind of unique genius traits where they occur. The AI, said to me that I found quite good at having these kind of opposing kind of things as well, so, I can be quite philosophical or quite grounded about something. And I'm not necessarily, when I'm having these almost sort of semi-spiritual experiences, I'm not thinking that they necessarily are spiritual. It could be something happening in the brain, or it could be whatever. But the sense that I'm getting is very much of that there's something else there, and that something is being revealed to me. And this permeates in lots of areas. So I said I get it a lot in nature, I don't know, looking at stars through binoculars, or just moments when I notice things in the sky, or in woods or whatever. I get it a lot outside, but I also get it a lot with sound. I love outdoor. I love sounds that are not connected, like they feel like they're coming from somewhere else. So sounds and I love the sounds that go back to a kind of primal, the kind of almost feeling of the way that we might have used sound, as early humans, the way, to alert to danger, a sudden, like, oh, startling, what is that, kind of, and also to give you a sense of distance. So how far away is this sound, this thing? And I'm really fascinated with that whole area. And anytime I hear a sound outside, I mean, it might be something human, it might be a crane, turning, or it might be a chainsaw in a forest. But I love those distant sounds and the sense of space, but also the alertness when you're on kind of high alert. If suddenly round a corner and a dog barks fiercely, that kind of hair on the back of the neck where you feel. And at those moments, it feels to me like something is kind of revealed that isn't there at other times. And the other time I get it a lot is when I am making music. So the time I mainly get it indoors is in the studio, is deeply in flow, in making music. And again, when I'm in the most sort of flow state making music, it feels like the music, I'm not making the music. And I know this is a common thing. I know lots of people feel like this. I'm not saying this is unique to me in any sense, but it feels like the music it feels to me like I'm revealing the music, or I've just sort of uncovered it, and it's there, and I'm catching a glimpse of something much greater than I could possibly do, but it's a slight bit of it is being revealed. And that's what I get from listening to music that I really like as well. It feels beyond the artist or whatever. And that harks back to my problems with promotion, because it feels that the music is beyond the person. I don't want to say this is my track. It's like I want the track is something other. It's something, and when I feel it's right or good, it feels like it's from something else.
It's gone beyond you, and so therefore, therefore promoting it through your channel feels inauthentic. It's like your genius is saying, no.
Yeah.
That you're lying, basically.
Yeah.
And
I'm not interested in Geoff and who Geoff is. I'm interested in that music,
what is being revealed. So there is something in what you just said, which I think I really want to draw your attention to and everyone's attention to, is that the feeling of flow, that feeling of the music sort of coming through you, is absolutely a universal peak experience that human beings have in all sorts of different areas. So that is universal. But the way that you described what is happening when you're in flow was very Geoff. Was very Geoff's unique genius. I wouldn't describe flow like that. I would describe it differently. I would describe it as seeing, it's almost like I am in a space where I'm connecting. It's like everything is, I'm part of a system. Okay. Because that's how my genius kind of sees it, if you like. So this is what I mean about a genius. It's like we say I'm a musician, or I am in flow, or I am cooking, right? And then we can define ourselves by that. I am a musician. That's what I do. But the specific way, and it's not just one thing, it's many things, but the specific way that you experience that and do that, that is your unique genius. And through music, we have both found a vehicle for what we're what our genius is looking for, if you like. Because, you said it feels like when I'm in flow, something is being revealed to me. Those words have never passed my mouth when I've spoken about flow. I know what you mean, but it's not how I kind of see it. Yeah. You're not wrong. I get it. I actually get it. Totally. Right. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it, but it's not how I would naturally describe it. In other words, it's not what I'm, and that's really the thing. It's kind of hard to describe to people how different these sort of geniuses are, because other people in the workshop have very different ways of describing.
Oh gosh, yeah,
it's
totally different.
Yeah,
everyone is so different.
Yeah, describing the same experience but differently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's that's what is so that is one thing that's been so clever about the course, is it finding those things that really make you tick, that really get you going, really get you excited, and then being able to apply that to everything you're doing moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you mentioned working with AI, because we don't do it in the actual sessions, but afterwards I give you things to do with AI which allow you to you kind of have a conversation, basically. I mean, you start in a certain place and then you have a conversation with the AI and you input some of your exercises and things like that into the AI. Because one of the things about AI, the way it works, in fact, it is a pattern recognition machine. Yeah, it's that's how it does its predictive token word thing, is that it's going, okay, there are patterns, that what's the most likely best next word? That's pattern matching. So this is how it's such a wonderful mirror and a microscope on kind of who you are as a person. So if you actually get it to do that, it really, for want of a better word, lights up, if you like. So how did you find working with an AI? And I mean, were you resistant to it at all? Because I'm sure some people are, and that makes complete sense. So how did you feel about like working with an AI like that?
I wasn't resistant to it, but I hadn't really done it. So yeah, I mean, you don't need to have any previous experience with it. I mean, I just used it a couple of times. Just wanted to find out. I seem to recall when it said something in a particular film, particular line I was looking for. Just a couple of things like that. I'd used it before in the past, but no, it basically it was incredible, to be honest. It basically it's so weird. It was like because the way, just to pedal back a little bit. The way it works is that with the way the workshop works is with having this various exercises like the ideal average day in the future one that we talked about earlier, and other exercises we do. You kind of feed that information into the AI, and you start to assemble a thing called your genius file.
Yeah.
So essentially what that is like a kind of set of instructions which tells the AI who you are, and the more, but it's not a one-way thing. The more you learn about yourself, the more you update the genius file, and so the better it understands you, and it keeps and then you ask it, so what does that say about me, do you think? And then you kind of go through its answers and think anything that doesn't seem right, you question, and you have more conversations to get it more correct, and then that goes in the genius file, gets updated. So what you end up with is this really sort of good handle on yourself, and it's a journey for you, for me. It was just a massive journey, as I say, discovering all these things about myself that I didn't even know, and AI is just this kind of affectionate, helpful little puppy that's there all the time.
Kind of annoying sometimes, but yeah.
I mean, it can be a little bit over the top.
Yeah, eye rolling. Whatever. Yeah,
it's so encouraging. But I mean, Mike gives you ways how to mitigate these things. But you can basically, but it is because it is so encouraging. It's like having this little mate who goes on this journey with you, and the AI is so interested in you. You know, it's,
Yeah, you've never come across anything that is
yeah,
more
yeah,
interested in the most boring details.
but the more you get into this thing, with the more interested the AI actually becomes. It's like it's really weird. That it sort of seems to become like more friendly. It's a brilliant experience, and I would encourage everyone to do it.
Yeah.
But what actually, so it kind of it learns more about who you are, and you have more and more of these conversations. And I mean, I wrote because there's so many things happen. I've actually got a little list in front of me.
Okay.
So I read because so many things came out of that. I mean, firstly, my creativity and flow states went through the roof.
No.
So I was having like one of my flow times, and one of the things I realized through talking to the AI was I'm really good in what it called liminal kind of spaces. So like, you know, before you're falling asleep, when you're waking up at kind of dawn. And I have a lot of ideas then and stuff, but in the past, maybe twice a year, you know, in those times, like, you know, where I have one of these moments where I would write down, I'll be like, oh gosh, yeah, and this, and this, and this. And I just couldn't stop writing at those times. I'd have so many ideas and I was in real flow, like really excited about everything I was doing. But since working with the AI, had that loads, like, you know, probably since we've been doing this course, probably about 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
So, you know, just crazy. Secondly, we brainstormed multiple novel and this is what I wrote. We brainstormed multiple novel and exciting possibilities to get around my promophobia and also to enhance my art as a whole. So, so we'll come on to in a second, I guess, what my ideas around my, you know, my hatred of promo, how I got around that. But basically, it was also, these conversations also allowed me to think about what my art is, basically, and what my purpose is, you know. And this is something that Mike's talked about a lot in the music machine courses and making album with Mike courses. You know, having a purpose for you, try to understand what your music is about, and doing this with AI, you know, suddenly just, you know, really made me understand what I was doing with my music in a much more clear way. Brilliant. And what I was trying to do with it. You know, but the perceptions of what my art is and where else my abilities might be useful. So outside of my art, and how, you know, the way that my sort of unique way of looking at the world, how that might be useful and interesting in completely different areas. I also learned that I spend way too much time making music and not enough time doing this, not enough time thinking about what I'm doing and thinking of all around it and understanding it and you know, growing it basically. So that came out of it as well. And I've also realized who my art might appeal to, you know, through help with it. You know, basically AI was really useful because it could identify traits in me. It could identify traits in people who would like similar things.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I say about talking to AI is that obviously it's a self-knowledge machine, so it helps you understand. So, and something just I really want to emphasize right now, we don't, this is something I jump up and down about in the workshop, we don't take what the AI says at face value, right? We read every out of the 1,000 words it spits out of you, which is kind of annoying, and we take issue, we question it if something doesn't resonate. So it's not like we're just like, oh my god, the AI says I'm a genius, that must be, it's not that. We're like, that doesn't seem right, that doesn't seem right, why did you say that? And instead of just saying that's wrong, because then it'll just agree with you, you actually have to leave the door open. But that's something that's part of the process. The phrase I've kind of come up with is always curate what the AI creates, always. So we're not just reading it and believing. It's absolutely essential that you do that, both for the kind of ongoing self-knowledge and because it's part of it is the conversation, but also because if you start just believing what it says, your taste and your judgment and your critical thinking are going to atrophy over time. Because
absolutely, I mean, that's a big thing about what you're doing is it's not doing what AI traditionally is kind of used for. And I know this is a big thing that you're working on, Mike, but it's not doing what AI is traditionally used for in basically just giving you solutions to problems. No. So it's basically Mike's been constantly trying to find ways to not get the AI to do that,
Yes.
but to help you like come to conclusions,
Yeah.
to just basically, help your ideas along, basically.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is about, expanding your mind, not just going to the AI and saying, "Oh, it said do that, and I'll do that. Job done." It's basically about, and that is what I guess I'm trying to get across. I mean, I feel like my brain, I feel like everything has gone bang,
Yeah.
like just overly expanded.
Yeah, it is. It feels like your brain is growing somehow. It's a very unusual experience. There was one thing that you had said as well that I've noticed this as well, which I think partially accounts for the. It's almost like it feels like a kind of lid came off, or a weight was lifted, or something. In that, and you don't have to talk about it specifically, but there were certain things about myself that I had almost the narrative I had in my mind was that I couldn't do something, or I was a failure, or I was rubbish at this, or it was almost like, and through this ongoing interaction with an AI, I realized that, well, yes, I did fail at that. And yes, I couldn't do that. And there was no way I was going to do it, but not just because I'm crap, although I am crap at certain things, but because it wasn't working for my specific constellation of traits and skills and abilities. So it was almost like a massive relief and release as well of like this, I've not been, it was almost like that, just it's gone now. And now I understand where the AI won't ever say weaknesses. I always say weaknesses, but now I understand the way that I can't do certain things. It's allowed me to do those things in the way that I do them, if you like. So, you said something about that too. I think it was in the second or third workshop. So have you noticed that?
Yeah. I mean, yes, 100%. And I think, and this has also happened with the Music Machine and the Making album with my courses as well. I mean, I was stuck, I was stuck with making music, and then more recently stuck with promoting, and I'd reached these stuck points, and I don't know, I'm not so much the type of person where I'd feel I was a failure because of that. But I would get very frustrated, that, oh God, another year's gone by. Where have I got to? It's just that. It's just more that for me, and I was excited. Yeah, but I think I have been, since the Making album. I've been excited about my music, but yeah, I just keep hitting these stumbling blocks, and it was just getting over this latest one was just immense.
Right. And so so now you've had this sort of more self-knowledge, which is ongoing. How does someone like you, who seems to be unable to do promotion, what are the actual things that you're now excited about doing? Because it almost like, I would expect someone who's watching this, they're like, how does that change anything? Right?
Yeah, totally. So the way it changed was, so I mean, I realized I was obviously really excited about the art, but I'm not really excited about the promo. So, kind of had to drill down into what the differences were between the two, and I think we've talked about that a little bit. So the realization came that I needed to somehow make the promo the art as well. And then I could, from that point, do the promo without it feeling icky. So, working with the AI, and brainstorming loads of ideas around this. And basically I'm running with two different ideas now, that were the ones that seemed that they're the best to me, basically. And one of them is, because my sort of unique genius area, because it's about this kind of revealing thing. I'd already been kind of had a slightly kind of magic or kind of occult kind of theme to my music. I'm not an occultist, I'm not a Satanist, but nothing against Satanists if anyone is, but basically I'm not any of those things. But I was drawn towards those things, and I have been since I was a kid. And now I kind of understand why I was drawn towards those things, because what is magic or whatever, it's something just under the surface of reality that's there to be revealed. So I already had this theme within my music, and I'd already had the idea that I wanted to make music with that kind of theme. So what I kind of hit upon was two ideas. One was that if I released music in a kind of episodic storyline type of way, so I would I'm creating a kind of mythology around the music. So to bypass my problem with me and me promoting and whatever, I'm kind of presenting it as if this music, basically this is not 100% fully formed.
No, I get it.
Excuse me. But I'm talking this out kind of here. But basically, so imagine a situation where, for instance, you found a diary, and the diary was from some, I don't know, someone, and they said, oh yeah, on this date, I was making this piece of music, and then I felt this presence came into the room, and then basically this presence said this and got me to, make this piece of music, and this is the piece of music, and then, so the next time I release a piece of music, the entry says, so it got really bad last night and I was taken over by this thing.
Okay, so
I'm in control of the situation and whatever. Yeah. Now, that's a very, very simple, and I'm not sure I'm going to do it in exactly that kind of way. But the idea is to have a story that goes with each release of each piece of music, and also video to do that. So that it basically, it bypasses me. It's like, even though this fictitious person, might be me, but it's about this thing that happens, and it's about trying to present a kind of an experience or a recording. It's a bit almost like a seance recording, or it's it's kind of like, this is this crazy thing that happens. Now I know that I'm not trying to hoodwink people. I want to do that sort of, slightly, not tongue in cheek, but I don't want it to be that, like I'm a conspiracy theorist and this is what I'm saying it's happened or whatever. I just, that is the kind of packaging around the music. I mean, I'm really into people like, Underground Resistance and, do you know Drexciya?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So, the kind of mythology they had about, slaves being thrown overboard, who then created their underwater society, and this is where that music comes from. It's not real, but it creates a great kind of mythology around the music. So
P-Funk and Parliament of the Sex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All of that. So I've always gravitated to those sorts of musical forms as well. So it's a kind of, it's kind of taking an idea from there, but it's basically, doing it in my kind of revealing something kind of way, and it gets around the whole releasing, because I can basically just drop them as if, oh my god, this happened and this, and have this little story in this episode with it. So basically the promotion has become the art, and then the second one I just want to mention as well is that I had this idea about broadcasting to empty spaces, and basically following on from that whole mythology thing, this is an idea that I could say, I've been instructed that this thing is going to appear at this time and at this place, on this date.
Wow.
And then basically I will film it, basically, and so I want to present that a bit like in the way as a promotional kind of thing, but as the art, a bit like that the whole old way that raves were promoted back in the UK. So it's a bit like, you don't know where it's going to be. You'd have to phone a phone box. You don't know where it's going to be, and it basically, you don't know, if it's happening, if it's going on, and if you don't, where it's going to be till the last minute. So it creates this kind of suspense, and it's about an event. It's about something being revealed in a particular place at a particular time. And what's also great about it from a promotional point of view is it doesn't matter if nobody goes,
No,
particularly initially. This thing happens there anyway.
right.
It's like just where this thing happened to happen. And I can, because I'm filming it, I can stream that or I can do whatever I want with that film. And I mean, it kind of fits in a bit with the whole liminal, thing that people do with these liminal videos on YouTube and stuff. It's these kind of weird sort of spaces where something kind of is occurring where you maybe not supposed to be there. It's kind of,
Right.
so it kind of fits with that a little bit as well. But mainly it's just a way that I can promote stuff where I feel comfortable with it, because I'm excited about it, and it doesn't matter to me if no one even clicks on it or whatever initially. I mean, it would be great if they do, as it goes on, but it's art in itself. It's art in itself without anyone even doing that.
The point is the making of it. Yeah. And because what's interesting, what would be like fascinating to me about this is that you've heard me talk about on podcasts, you make the business the art. You express the art through the business. You express the promotion. It's like it's not promotion. You're just doing more art, right? So it's just an extension of the art. You've heard me jump up and down about that for years, but that didn't make sense to your genius until now. So what do you think's going on there? I mean, you understood it conceptually, but so what do you think what's the difference?
I think I just didn't know how to do it. I just didn't realize enough about myself to know how to do it. It's still, I guess, I have heard you say that before many times. Yeah. But I just didn't know how to put that into practice, with what I was doing. But of course, this whole process has expanded my art anyway. It's like what I see my art as. Before, a year ago, my art was just some tracks I'd made.
I'm making some tunes.
Yeah, I just made a few tunes, exactly. So that was just my art, so you've then still got the problem of how do you find the art, how do you connect that art to the promotion? But now, because the whole vision of, the whole art around it is so much bigger, it's so much easier to.
It's like the music is inside the art.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the music isn't even the most important thing anymore. I mean, maybe it's going that way. I mean, it feels like it's on a journey. It's great.
Oh wow. Well, I'm amazed, Geoff. It's been great to see, because like for me, obviously you were in the first group of me delivering anything like this. This is very different from anything else I've done before. And, I really appreciate your trust in me, because it was like, in a sense, I guess it was like, well, I mean, I got such an enormous result myself that I expected other people to, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. And it's so great that you got not the same, but a similar result as I did, where it's almost like you didn't know how to do it. In other words, you didn't know what your art actually was. So therefore you didn't know how it could expand. Yeah. Similarly, what I'm doing in this workshop is what you were saying about your music is very similar. It's almost like in making an album with Mike and the stuff I've done before, it's almost like I didn't know what I was actually doing. I mean, I did know what I was doing. I was helping musicians, but what I mean is that's a very coarse and non-me way of thinking about it. I now understand what it is I'm actually doing, which expands it into all sorts of different things, which is why, I'm sort of starting the Substack and, helping non-musicians and things like that, because it's got much bigger than it was before. So I'm happy to hear.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, exactly what you were doing before just helped you become able to finish music, help you become a better musician, and help you on that journey. But this is just way beyond that. It helps you, understand who you are, as a person, and then following from that as an artist. It's just, I'm only just starting to, explore the implications of that, but it can go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
what you discover, and
Yeah,
God
well, I
knows.
mean, I just hope more people start using. Well, it's not just AI, but start understanding this, because that's for me the biggest thing about both the technology, but also what's possible. So before we finish, I just want to two questions. Have you got anything else that you wanted to say that you haven't said? And the second one, is there anywhere you can send people to check out the music that you do have out?
No and no. So, um, so basically, nothing more to say. I think we've covered it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But in terms of that, there is somewhere where I can send people. I'm saying no. The reason I'm saying no is, if you just listen to the whole thing, you'll understand that it's going in a new direction.
Yeah.
I do have the Bandcamp page of the 8 released tracks that I've already done. That link in show notes. But just easy. I found that promotion then. Just linking.
Yeah, there you go.
Just over it now. Right. So basically you can go and listen to my stuff if you're interested in the in Bandcamp. But hopefully very soon there's going to be lots more releases which I think are going to be more interesting.
Yeah, well, I will very much look forward to hearing and seeing, and for that to be revealed to use your language. So thanks, Geoff.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.